Let's look into the semi-finals now. Then some humble pie for you, Jim.
For many people, can we just not just me.
Jim,
go on, go through it, Andrew.
Jim, what did you say last week? Let's just rewind. And you basically said it's ending here for Quins. It's 50 points to Bristol's. The dream's over. And you went hard at them, didn't you? And then Marler gets his helicopter out. The boys are getting their pants royally pulled down. 28-0 down after 27 minutes. Donbrant gets a try before half-time. They give him something special at half-time. I don't know what was happening in that change room. And then they win. And, yeah, Jim, what have you got to say to the millions of Quins listeners? We've lost a few because of the way you attack them. But what have you got to say to the millions of Quins listeners, Jim?
We did it. We bloody did it. When the chips were down, when our DOR leaves, when the media's against us, when everyone is laughing at us, 25, 28 minutes into the game, our pants are pulled down, there's helicopters flying around everywhere, we're dejected and we're getting absolutely semied, we're getting absolutely pear-towed, Max Malins is flying all over the place. We are literally thinking to keep it under 100 points. And with all that adversity, we bloody pulled it back. And let's just go back and rewind. I'm happy to sit here and say I talk bollocks, right? So I am an expert. I've not called myself an expert. It's just quoted in many publishing outlets, i.e. the Rugby Pod. And it's me who generally publishes it. So,
so you say it.
Who saw that coming? So Andrew, hand on heart, okay? Hand on, if you wouldn't be able to feel your heart. Hand on belly and feeling the contractions going in and out rapidly. Can you tell me 28-0 that you think, well, no, I know what you think because you text me, but are you thinking Quins are going to peel this back?
Mate, absolutely no chance. Anyone that says they do, and they did believe that at 28-0 down after 27 minutes and the way that Bristol's were playing, anyone that thinks that they can honestly say, yeah, Quins were definitely going to win that, I'm saying it now, you're liars, because, you know, we'll speak to Nick Evans in a bit, and I'm sure they'll say there was belief in the camp. There has to be belief. Like when you're playing the game, there has to be. If you're a Quins fan, you're not looking at that going, yeah, I could definitely see us come back and winning this game, because Bristol in that opening half an hour it was probably the perfect performance, wasn't it? Literally the lines, the accuracy, the precision of pass. You know, you see Pietau waltzing through. He stepped about 14 players to get through the line for the first try. You know, the phase playoff. Sorry, the first phase off the line out move when Morahan ends up scoring.
Everything was working perfectly for Bristol. You know, the tries that they were scoring. It was literally the complete performance, wasn't it? The perfect attacking performance. And to be fair to Quins, there was a couple of errors in there, but it was literally like there was nothing they could do. So anyone that believed that they could come back from that, no one could see it in World Rugby. As a player, you'd say, yeah, I believe we could always bounce back and, you know, regroup and nick a try. But it was just ridiculous from Bristol. And then half-time came, whatever Nick Evans, Jerry Flannery, Adam Jones. I think Adam Jones, I heard he took his top off and said, look, lads, you know, this is how bad it could be. It ain't that bad yet. Let's get back out there. And all the boys were pumped. He did the truffle shuffle or whatever. Anyway, those boys.
I heard he said to the lads, if we don't win this, someone's eating my belly button. That's what I heard coming out of the changing room.
And it was phenomenal, wasn't it? You know, you look at the instances that created it. Malins, who was wonderful throughout the game, he drops the high ball, goes straight into Donbrant's hands. That gets them to 28-7. Donbrant ain't even celebrating at that point. They're like, you know, we're getting absolutely hosed here. It's a try just before half-time. But it allowed them some belief. And then they scored a try just after half-time. There's the Bristol playing out their own 22 and Chisholm scores as well. It just generates belief, doesn't it? So those two tries that were gifted to Quins just gave them belief. And then they just started, you know, they grew. And as people have said before, they grew a set, didn't they? And found out that actually, you know, they can compete with this Bristol team. They can make the breaks. Liner was brilliant.
On Liner?
Yeah.
With the name, you're thinking, like, he's going to be good. And we've seen bits of him come in and out of the Quins team. What about the physicality on some of his shots?
Yeah.
On Semi Randrandra, a couple of the breakdown shots. Like, I know we're going off in terms of talking about players. You'll probably want to go into a bit more detail. I don't want to be horrible to Mike Brown. He's obviously had an incredible career. But him being banned and giving that space up to Tyrone Green, I mean, you think with a name like Tyrone, you best be good. My word, he is. Yeah. That's what I mean. Some of the look, apologies where it's due. Humble pie. I've had this perception of Quins and the way they go about their business and the culture and stuff. Alex Anderson mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. The whooping and hollering, the moaning, all them kind of interactions. I saw something in that Quins team that I've never seen. That unity, but also at the end of the game, the emotion around Jerry Flannery, a man who's won everything under the sun for Munster, one of the most decorated hookers in the Northern Hemisphere in terms of win ratio and the way that he played. And I don't know any other team that would have come back from that in the way in which they did, to play into extra time. Joe Marler playing as long as he did, with a story that we heard that he had his kid or whatever the day before. And you can only credit that. You can only credit the culture there that's been built in a short time. I mean, we've seen it before. A new coach comes in, Alex Anderson, we've seen that sale, you get a spike. And I know you're closer to some of the Quins camp than I am, Andrew, but it goes a long way in terms of having that deep-rooted culture, and whatever Nick Evans and that coaching team have done, and making some big calls to let Mike Brown go, making some big calls in, letting Rob Shaw go. And I thought, I mean, let's say it, one of the best games I've ever seen, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it was. And I think, in defense of Mike Brown, he was actually playing, Brown was probably playing some of his best rugby before he got banned. So, it's allowed an opportunity for Tyrone Green just to flourish at fullback. He was playing on the wing as well. Liners come back into the team. And, now you're looking at it and going, actually, next year, those boys can play like that. Are we going to miss Mike Brown? At some point, everything has to come to an end, right? So Brownie's left. We know he's going to Newcastle. At some point, if he'd have stayed at Quins, he'd have had to have retired anyway, maybe in a year or two's time. So you need that progression. You look at Don Brandt this year and how much he's come on. I know Rob Shaw's left. In the back row, look at Kenningham, the way he's come in and just, he's smashing ball. He's about 12 years old.
He's in my book, new favourite player.
Yeah.
I left a message on his Instagram. I didn't follow him. I just left a message because I've got a lot more followers. I thought I'd leave a message, like a flame, a fire, just to see if he liked it or follow me. He hasn't. I'm sure he will at some point. But he reminds me the way that he was going into tackles of Jacques Berger. I'll be honest with you. The way that he was putting himself about for a tall, rangy 7, like he's got if he can carry on like that, my goodness me, my word, he was phenomenal.
Yeah. So, I mean, as a club, you have to make these decisions. And, I know there was a bit of back and forth around the Mike Brown thing where Brownie wants to finish his career here. They offered him contracts. Someone at the club, pretty senior, told me they offered him 4 contracts. And Mike Brown's gone out to the press and said they didn't offer me a contract. So there's always been a bit of niggle there for one reason or another. But what they have done is found this collective ability to, ultimate adversity. You're getting absolutely hosed by the top team, the team that's finished top of the log in the Premiership with worldies across the whole team. I tweeted on Friday when the teams came out, you just look at that Bristol starting team and bench, and I'm like, I reckon they're probably favourites to win the whole thing now on paper, looking at that, because they had everyone fit. Sinclair was back, Foe was on the bench, you've got the worldies in the back row, Luata, but things conspired against them a little bit in the second half. And Quins, well, a bit of their own doing, a couple of the errors that led to 2 tries, 14-point swing when you're 28-0 up.
Well, they lost Beartow as well, didn't they?
Beartow goes off, didn't even get looked at, which some people said it was a forearm to the face. But that's just the way things happen sometimes. So listen, Harlequins, from pants around your ankle, skid marks on show, and I tweeted, someone go in there at half time, pull the pants up, because no one wants to see these skids. And someone listened, went in there, pulled the pants up, gave them some magic juice. Probably the fear of having to lick out Adam Jones's belly button, as Jim said, if they lost. And my goodness, what a second half it was. Extra time, Marler's tackle on Callum Sheedy when, Marcus Smith comes and puts the pressure on when he's going for the drop goal, that goes over, it's nights. With about 5 to go, they would have been 10 points up and Bristol had gone through. He steps in, and then you're thinking, geez, Bristol could score a try here. Marler, 100 minutes in the tank, however much it was at the time, and he's made a hell of a hit. And you're just thinking, that there is that graft inside the Quins boys now that there hasn't been previously. And a lot of the credit has to go to Billy Millard and the coaches who have galvanised this team. It's not a fluke they've gone on this run. They're playing a different brand of rugby from perhaps they did under Guzzy, and they all talked about their DNA. And you need not only your attacking DNA, you need some substance with it. And they didn't have the substance in the first half. They certainly had it in the second half, and thoroughly deserved in the end to be in the final.